I can blame motherhood for ruining my modeling career. Where it all began. Modeling, it's all about being cool and mysterious and vision and the family. I never had complex about me not having education. I will never be able to walk on runways. The biggest fear that I have is not progressing in life, not knowing what I'm going to do next. Modeling slowly kind of dying. What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. Welcome back into another video. I am so excited to bring back this chit chat section of my channel back and just discuss more topics, more personal topics, or topics that you are always wanting to discuss, topics that are uncomfortable. Just generally share my view on life, on things. You always ask me to share more of it, and to be honest, like, I do have so much in me to share, but I just feel like my focus in the last year have been a lot into like just preserving my energy and being at home and being just with myself, by myself, keeping myself for the babies. And finally I feel like I have enough to share with the world, so here we are. Today I'm discussing with you very personal yet empowering topic, how motherhood, which is such a blessing, at first completely derailed my career as a model, and but then eventually it really became a stepping stone to self-reinvention. So this is what we're going to talk about today, and let's go into the first chapter. Where it all began. So I started modeling at age of 13. I'm originally from Russia, so that's where I started. I've been discovered I've been discovered actually twice. It's kind of was like two attempts of me to start. First, how I kind of found out about the modeling, it was through local modeling school that actually my friend went into for like a summer camp, and I did not have a plan to be a model. She kind of like took me with her, let's go, let's do this fun thing. So we did it, and actually like a year later they had a casting for Japanese agencies, and out of all the girls that had been there, they chose me. A year later I basically like signed a contract and went for my first trip to Japan at the age like 14 or 13, I don't remember, but I think it was around 13, 14 anyway, around that period. And I think this is when my love for modeling began, where I was like, okay, I see the perspective in it. So then when I was going back to my home, I always used to travel for a couple months here and there to Japan for work, earn some money. I have to say, I think the idea of money and how empowering it is, I think I kind of tasted it back then. And that's kind of, I think, gave me a financial freedom so early on in my life, which was great. And obviously, you know, getting the job done and getting the reward is some at this young age was something that's like none of my classmates ever seen. So I've been proud of myself doing it. But then I remember I had a neighbor who was one of my closest friends, and she had this professional camera, and she told me, why don't you try to apply for agencies that are there are beyond the Asian market, right? Because at that time I was just going to Japan. Sorry guys, there's a baby crying. I have to give her some attention. One sec. Sorry guys. Long story short, I basically we sent some pictures with my friend, and I got accepted in this modeling agency in Moscow. And this is how kind of my career began beyond Asia, and I started to travel around the world, Europe, and I couldn't move for good. My dream always been the United States, and I couldn't move for good until I turned 18 because my mom wanted me to finish the school. And just generally, like, I don't think by law you can move by yourself if you're younger than 18. So this is how kind of everything started for me. And I came to this country modeling. I used to live in New York. Right now I live in Miami. New York being such a big part of my life, it gave me so many opportunities. I worked with brands that I never even imagined I would work with, the biggest names in the industry. So I'm really grateful for that opportunity, and it taught me a lot of things. I think that main lesson that modeling taught me is dedication. And I think I was just talking recently about it with my husband, because a lot of times, as great as social media is, but you all know that social media can be so toxic too. a lot of times people are trying to demolish you for no reason. So I hear a lot, the aspects like, you cannot teach people certain things because you don't have degree, or why you're proud of your life when you are uneducated and things like this. I have to say, I never had complex about me not having education. I feel quite accomplished, and I think, I don't know, that's my view. Your view can be totally different on that. But I think life experience valued more than education these days. Like, I think education is great, but if you don't have a life experience, I don't think your life will have in different dimensions, if that makes sense. Because I met in my life a lot of people with the greatest degrees, I'm not talking about doctors. Obviously that's profession, that's just like life or death, and I will take off my hat to a profession like that, because I feel like it's not only a profession, it's really a calling, right? People dedicate so much time in their whole life to helping others, so I think that's just out of the pictures. But I think I met in my life so many people that have the greatest degree, but they're like zero in anything else. Like, they never traveled abroad, like beside their own country. They don't know anything about, art, or about the food, or about travel, or, just anything beyond the topic that they learned. And I think it's so limiting. And in my opinion, I wouldn't wish for myself that, because like a lot of times people are like, oh, like, what are you talking about? Like, there is a lawyer profession that is more important than your modeling. Yes, I'm not saying my modeling is like the most important job in the world, but I'm just saying, like, as my life experience, how much it taught me to like survive on my own. I traveled the whole world. At the age of 20, I literally traveled so many countries, I could not believe it. Like, I traveled more than my parents. In my understanding, this is what life is about, is to see the world, experience a lot of different things. I'm not saying that degree is not important, but I do think that it's not the most important thing in the life, and it's not an indicator of intelligence, or it's not an indicator of where you should be putting a person, and shouldn't be labeling a person for just not having a degree. I think that in my life, I would want to have a degree eventually, with an understanding, what do I do it for, like, right? And to be honest with you, like, I thought recently of what I would like to study, and I think the psychology is interests me a lot. And again, if you would ask me that when I was finishing school, what I want to study, I would never be able to tell you, and probably I would just go where everyone was going, or where my parents told me. And in my opinion and my understanding, I don't think that has a lot of value. But again, I think it's better than doing nothing. So, if you're after school, you don't know what to do at all, you definitely go get a degree. But if you have a strong understanding that you want to start a business, or you want to get involved into something, I think that's more of a option for me personally. That's what I did. So I think that modeling taught me that dedication can take you far, right? I think not giving up on things and just sticking with it, sticking with your vision, even if it's hard, even if it seems like you don't have a clear plan. Sometimes I feel like sticking and dedicating yourself to something for a long period of time make you figure out things. And starting modeling, I've been told a lot of things, that I will never be able to walk on runways, I'm not tall enough, I'm not this, I'm too commercial looking. But I understood with dedication and persistent, and this like showing that you are there and you're worth it, I proved myself that anything can be done. And I think this is such a valuable lesson that I carry throughout life with myself, that now if I start anything, or if I do anything, like now I'm doing a YouTube, I'm not exactly seeing a final point of where the YouTube journey or career will take me. But one thing I know for sure, that if I give it a good amount of time and dedication, I know something good is gonna come out of it. So I think that's what taught me the modeling, is just being persistent and dedicated to things. Vision and the family. I always thought I wanted to have a family, but to be honest with you, I was so caught up and driven by my modeling journey that I didn't start it will happen too early. And I also didn't thought I will kind of end my modeling because of the family. I kind of thought in my ideal world it will be side by side, and it's not until I actually got a family, right? What is this saying? If you want to make a God laugh, tell him your plans. Is it the thing? Yes, I think it is. So I made the God laugh because I made all these plans in my head that never became a reality. I honestly thought that I'll model until I can, which is, like now it's kind of postponed to later. And I met my husband, who wasn't living in New York at that time. So I started to come more and more to Miami. And to be honest, I fell in love with Miami from my first time. It just felt like such a different pace of life from New York. And I was like, okay, this is a place where you can actually have a family. We have a beach, it's a slower pace of life, you can drive. Like, this was definitely identified for me as a family place. And just slowly, I kind of start to move here. But I have to admit, I didn't let go of New York for such a long time. I was kind of not giving up and like didn't want to let go this identity that I had. I think also partially because I didn't have a plan of what I'm going to do. And for me, the biggest fear that I have is not progressing in life, and it's just sitting still, and it's something that makes me feel so uncomfortable. So I think just coming here and not having like a job the next day or like a casting or any plan, just feel like I just felt so useless, to be honest with you. So I think that's kind of a reason why I was not letting it go for such a long time. It's been hard. I think it's been really hard, because I've been torn between having this great guy who potentially wanted a family with me, but on another hand, I had this career that I invested so much time in and had so much potential too. So I was really torn apart. So next chapter, I think it's important to identify when to stop. And I understood at some point that after we got married, obviously, and we had all these plans for family, I understood how much energy I was consuming on just tearing myself apart and grieving for that life that I left behind. That I think not until I actually got pregnant with Allegra, I fully stopped modeling. Also, I think, as crazy as it sounds, but modeling industry didn't like, at least at that time, I don't know how it is now, but at that time they didn't like mothers, because I think for modeling industry it meant that you were not as committed to modeling as before. So as soon as my agent found out I was pregnant, he started to call me less and less. And after the pregnancy, it never was the same. So they're never gonna admit it, but I truly believe that as soon as the model become a mother, it's rare that she'll have the same shot in a career. So I think that it started to consume me so much that I decided that I cannot fight it anymore, and I just let it go and let it be and see what happened. And I think it was really scary, as I said, because I had no plan of what I'm going to do, and that's the scariest thing for me. But I think this moment of boredom and stillness and not knowing what I'm going to do next, it put me in a state where I had to get creative and had to understand, okay, what can I give to myself, that will make me feel fulfilled, but also give me an opportunity to be a present mom. I don't think I ever said it on my channel, but I actually, during COVID time, I tried myself in a food industry. I had a vegan gelato with my friend, which was great, and we had so much fun with it. But honestly, frozen food business is such a hard business, and it was a COVID time, so it was kind of not the best scenario, and we kind of left it there. But it was a very good experience. I think it's also been an experience of me learning what I should pay attention to when I go into business. So I'm glad it happened, and I definitely took some notes and learned a lot from this lesson that hopefully one day I'll bring into my next venture. So I think that the boredom and not knowing what to do and this uncomfortable feeling made me understand, you know what, I still want to having, you know, this identity that I built throughout years, still living, but I wanted to rebirth it in a different way. And I think this is how the idea of developing more myself in the social media aspect was born. And I truly had so much fun. Like, it's all began with just me being a mom at home and just feeling, as I said, like alone. I was, you know, still in a fairly new city where I didn't have friends, and just generally like being so young, not having surrounding where I could ask advice from. I just felt like I wanted to share more on Instagram about my motherhood journey and what I'm going through. And kind of that's how it all began. I just started to develop my social media surrounding this topic. And then eventually I was like, okay, this is time to also bring the idea of having a YouTube to life, because I told you I created YouTube channel in 2013, if I'm not mistaken, or in 2013 or 15. I remember it was like surrounding the Victoria's Secret show that I made. And I wanted to already start a channel back then, because I was like, oh my God, it would be so cool to document like this incredible event in my life that I worked so hard for. But I was just so insecure and playing so small, and I was just so unsure of what I was doing. I never found in myself courage to buy a camera and to take a camera out of my pocket and start filming and talking to a camera, and it just died, this idea, until basically I became a mom. And I also was like brewing this idea in myself for multiple months, and eventually I told my husband, you know what, I have this idea of creating a YouTube channel where I will share the tips to moms and my love for fashion that I have, that will give me an opportunity to build these platforms of people that is connected to me, and hopefully eventually, you know, build a business as well on top of it. Like, this is eventually my idea, is to hopefully find a product or something that will, you know, I can share with the world, I can share with people that are here for me. Anyway, so it's been so fun. I started it, and my husband been very supportive of it, even so he doesn't want to be in it. I think that if it wouldn't be for modeling and it wouldn't be for motherhood, I would never reinvent myself in this industry, social media, which now looking back, I'm so grateful that I went into, because this is where the future is now. Like, the modeling slowly, I always say, the modeling slowly kind of dying, not dying, but it's kind of reinventing itself too. They don't want just a pretty girl anymore. They want a story to it. They want a social media presence as well. And also, like, a lot of budgets nowadays from brands go into more of a social media rather than just modeling. So I think I feel very much ahead of the curve, because a lot of models that I used to model with, they're kind of starting it now, where I'm already been 3 years in it. So it definitely feels like, okay, I did the right decision. Even so, at that moment, it felt so scary, and it didn't feel like I was doing the right thing. Also, I feel like back then it wasn't cool to have like social media and being a blogger, because it requires like completely different content when you are doing the blogging rather than modeling. Modeling, it's all about being cool and mysterious and not letting your real life events blending in with your persona, right? Where I feel like in social media, like, you know, I wanted to be like an open book, and I wanted to show the world who I really am, because all these years I've been just like a model, and I think not many people even knew my name, right? They just like, okay, saw me as a pretty picture. But I feel like it's just so fulfilling to connect with people on a deeper level. So the moral of the story, I think, as I can blame motherhood for ruining my modeling career, in the end, it really became a stepping stone in my self-discovery, reinvention. It definitely gave me an opportunity to encourage, to do new things, something that scared me. It really brought me back to where I began with modeling, right? Like, not knowing where it's going to take you, but just having this excitement and fulfillment and enjoyment from just the process. And I think that, as I was I'm always telling, the most important thing in anything, in business, in life, in friendship, in personal life, in anything, is having fun and enjoyment from the process, not actually waiting to have an enjoyment from a final point, right? Because I think this is what makes you to give up. But if you're going to find a way to enjoy every step of the way, it's not going to feel like a long, lengthy route. It will feel like an enjoying ride, right? And this is how I feel. I feel like I have a long way to go of where I wanted to be with my social media. And I still don't have things figured out. But one thing I know, I'm dedicating myself to it. And I'm so grateful for all of you being here and giving me this opportunity. So don't be afraid, for all the mothers who are dedicating themselves to motherhood. Either you want to work, or you don't want to work, or you want to try yourself in something new, or you just want to be a dedicated mother. I know how hard it is, and trust me, as much as in the moment it feels like you're losing everything, you will rebirth and you will become stronger, because motherhood makes you so freaking resilient. And I think that also having this responsibility on your shoulders pushes you out of your comfort zone, which brings a lot more results than if you would be in your comfort zone. So keep going. I'm here with you, and I hope you enjoy this talk, and I hope it's been useful. I'm so happy I get to share these thoughts with you. Let me know if you would like to hear any other topics in the future videos. I'm always happy to hear any feedback, or let's just discuss more of this topic that we touched today down in the comments below. Thank you so much for being here with me today, and I'll see you on the next video. Ciao!